When did you make this decision?
Yesterday. We received the report yesterday morning. I had learned about some of the substance contained in the report the very end of last week and then this weekend, but received the report on Tuesday morning and made the decision.
And what was your conversation with Chief O'Hara like?
I met with Chief O'Hara. I informed him both of the allegations, which he was, I believe, aware of, and also the parts of the report that were ultimately found to be substantiated. There were two parts that were substantiated. I told him that I would be disciplining and up to potential termination. He tendered his resignation and I accepted, and we disciplined to make sure that the information contained in the report that I was disciplining on could be released publicly. Transparency is really important in circumstances like this. We need to make sure that we're gaining public trust, not reducing it. And so the reasons for the discipline and the areas of substantiation were released.
So it was just earlier this month, May 6th or 7th, I believe, that you indicated you would be renominating him to stay on as chief. What changed between then and now? Because this investigation was ongoing at that time.
Mm-hmm. We did not know then what we do know now. You can't discipline or terminate a chief based on rumor or anonymous complaints. You got to investigate them. You do not know how long those investigations will go. You do not know when new complaints will come in. And so you can only operate based on information that you have before you that has in fact been substantiated. The report was finalized and provided to me just yesterday. I made the decision on the spot because while certainly it was painful, the chief has done a great job in many ways as chief. He has led through some of the most difficult of circumstances. He has showed great leadership through crisis, through Operation Metro Surge, through the shooting at Annunciation. And that decision was not hard. The decision that I made was not hard because when there is a breach of public trust, when there is a violation of an investigation itself, and the chief is the one charged with investigating other crimes, it's necessary to take action.
It was substantiated that he lied and attempted to cover up.
So the two things that were substantiated were, one, a contact card was deleted, and two, the chief talked about the investigation when he should not have.
If he's willing to do that, would that reduce your trust in him in other ways if he had stayed on as chief?
It's not as if I don't tolerate mistakes. Mistakes occur. I make mistakes. But there is an especially high bar when you're the chief of police. The level of integrity has got to be extraordinary. The willingness to abide by a full and fair investigation is of paramount importance. And trust is not just part of the job, that is the job. And so when trust has been violated, it was essential to make a call. And like I said, this was certainly a painful decision, but it was not a hard one.
Right, and I guess
again,
people are maybe unclear because people don't realize that there were two investigations.
There were two investigations.
So an investigation ended.
Correct.
Unsubstantiated.
Yes, so there were two investigations. We received an anonymous complaint last summer that the chief was having inappropriate relationships with subordinates, inappropriate sexual relationships with subordinates. That was immediately investigated. The very same day I learned about it, we opened an investigation, sent it to an independent firm. They conducted quite a few interviews, gathered evidence, did all the necessary work, and yes, a report was ultimately issued that said that those allegations were not substantiated. That doesn't mean that it didn't happen. That means that they did not have adequate proof or evidence to show by the preponderance of the evidence that it in fact happened. Now, there's a second investigation, essentially involving tampering with the investigation itself. Mm-hmm. There were two pieces that were found to be substantiated. One was the deletion of the contact card, and the second was talking with people about the investigation itself.
At the time that you renominated the chief, did you know that it had been reopened and that there was this recording and that this employee was being interviewed again? I believe it says in March even,
Yeah.
that regarding potential sexual relationship.
So as soon as I found out about the additional allegations, we opened another investigation. These investigations, they sometimes take a long time. The whole point of them is that you've got a neutral observer, somebody that has expertise in conducting interviews and gathering evidence that is able to substantiate or not substantiate the allegations that are made. As mayor, you can't make determinations about employment based on rumor or anonymous complaints.
Is that why you waited a little bit, though, before you gave him your stamp of approval in May?
I think there's a totality of the circumstances that were taking place. I mean, we also had Operation Metro Surge that happened right in the middle of that, and there was no way of bringing anybody forward during that period of time. Normally, a lot of this stuff would happen even earlier.
Okay.
So no, there was a number of circumstances. Had I known then what I know now, there would not have been a reappointment. But again, to make decisions based on rumor would be making decisions based on optics. And that's neither responsible nor is it a smart decision for safety.
So what would you say to somebody if they said, look, the mayor knew that he was being investigated in March for inappropriate sexual relationship with an employee, but within 2 months he's nominated him again to stay in the role?
I would say that's not accurate. So we had that, so there was an investigation initially into the inappropriate relations with subordinates. There was a report, and the report stated that those allegations were not substantiated. Now, yes, there is a secondary investigation that also took place. I make decisions based on substantiated conduct. I don't make decisions based on rumors or simply anonymous complaints. I mean, if I were to terminate police chiefs based on rumor and anonymous complaints, then there's no chief that would survive more than a couple weeks.
Yeah.
It's irresponsible to make decisions like that, and I refuse to do so.
Did you get the...
But again, once those allegations were substantiated, there's also a decision. It is irresponsible to make decisions without having allegations substantiated. It is irresponsible to make decisions based on rumors or anonymous complaints. But you run an investigation, you have a full and fair inquiry into what exactly took place, you get the results of that investigation back, and then you make determinations based on it. That's just, I have that responsibility as mayor, and while the conclusions were painful, the decision I had to make certainly was painful. It's the right decision. I mean, trust was breached, and trust is not just part of the job, that is the job of chief.
So back in 2022, I got an anonymous letter from someone in Newark, and I believe they sent it to you and all the council members as well, that at the time we just kind of, what do you do with something like that? But looking at it today, it talks about inappropriate sexual things with coworkers. What's your take on that now? Like, thinking back on that, I mean, it was a warning, although it was anonymous. Is that something that you should have looked into at all?
Again, anybody can make an anonymous complaint. Anybody can start a rumor. It is our job to take these complaints seriously. And so we take every complaint seriously. That doesn't mean that every complaint is serious. We look into them where we're able to. We conduct interviews where we're able to. We investigate them fully and fairly, and where those allegations have been credible and substantiated, you make a determination based on discipline or even discharge. It would be almost impossible to act on an anonymous complaint from across the country like that.
Today, it feels like a lot of people's heads are in a lot of different places.
Yeah.
The chief did have supporters. He had a lot of supporters in the city of Minneapolis. They're looking at they're looking at the picture of crime has gone down since he got here, staffing has gone up, and they want that progress to continue. What would you say to those people? Why can't you look past this and stay with Chief O'Hara?
Regarding the progress that Chief O'Hara oversaw, they're right. When Chief O'Hara took office as chief, there were several goals that I laid out for him: to drive down crime, to increase numbers on the police department, to generate trust within the community. Crime's gone down. The number of police officers that we have in the department has dramatically increased. We were hemorrhaging officers, and now we're gaining them. We've got the most diverse police department that we've ever had in our city's history, and I do believe that we are gaining trust within the community. We saw that most recently with Operation Metro Surge, people seeing the juxtaposition between the way that police officers in Minneapolis will treat them and the way an ICE agent will treat them. And so, to the extent that people say, well, Chief O'Hara did a lot of really great things while he was here, I agree full-heartedly. And I have a responsibility as mayor to maintain public trust. And that means when that public trust is breached, especially through the course of an investigation, I got to take action. So again, it was a painful decision, given I know there are many areas that Chief O'Hara has overseen success in this department, but it was still the right thing to do.
Now, what's the most important thing for the next chief that comes in, and for that matter for Chief Blackwell to continue in the interim?
Safety has to be first and foremost. The chief of police is charged first with maintaining the peace in a city and keeping things safe, making sure that people both feel safe and are safe. So that is the number one priority for this next chief. And we have to be doing the important work around reform under the consent decree and settlement agreement. We've got to continue to recruit police officers that want to be part of the change that we want to see throughout this department, and we want to continue to generate trust in this community. We've made good progress. We're going to continue making that progress, because here's the thing. The work around safety is not limited to one chief or one mayor. The progress we're making around reforms or police recruitment should not be limited to one chief or one mayor. We've set in place the right standards and have gotten momentum that will far surpass any single individual. That momentum has got to continue.